Hey guys, this is Tony from Revelation Signal, and you're watching the Rock and Metal Faith Podcast.
On this episode of the Rock and Metal Faith Podcast, we're continuing our countdown of the top 100 guitarists. This time we're going from 73 down to 53. All right, welcome back to the Rock and Metal Faith Podcast. This is the place to hear all about Christian hard rock and heavy metal, from the classic bands to the new bands. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. What do we got going on? We're continuing our countdown. Before we do that, we got our usual stuff, news, and plug it in. On the news, Whitecross is hosting a cruise. So you've heard of like the Kiss cruise and Monsters of Rock cruise, where you go on a nice big cruise ship there, cruise around to nice sunny places, and the bands are playing and stuff like this. Well, I don't know if anyone else is on the ship yet, but Whitecross is sponsoring a cruise. It's the Whitecross cruise with the band doing concerts. I don't know all the details. They're leaving from Miami in January. For all the details, go to whitecrosscruise.com. And I do know
That would be interesting. I wonder if they're going to perform every night or.
I don't know how that's set up.
Like,
I do know that if you get down to Miami the night before the cruise leaves dock, there is a pre-party with Whitecross playing. I'm wondering if maybe they're going to invite other bands on the cruise with them and do more of a Christian Monsters of Rock type of thing. I don't know. So far, all I know is what Rex Carroll had announced, and you can go, like I said, Whitecross Cruise, all one word, for details. All I know is I can't afford to get down to Miami for the cruise, and I'm sure it's a great deal, but still out of my price range.
that's right. If any of our audience is going to go, take pictures and send them to us, it'd be great. Or we'll have you on the show, talk about your experience on the cruise with Whitecross. That's got a ring to it, though, doesn't it?
I would love to be there hanging out with Whitecross for a cruise.
That would be cool. Well, we've already done that,
No,
right?
but for a whole cruise? Come on, man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree. That would be
Anyways,
cool.
yeah, they're leaving Miami. They're going down, I think, through the Bahamas in January, where it's, January's kind of cold, even in the States, type of thing like this. Anyways, on the Michael Sweet news, I don't have a Michael Sweet says. He has been posting some previews of what the new Worship record is going to sound like. Just like 30-second clips of a couple of songs here and there. Does sound interesting. It's not a rock and roll worship or say a heavy metal worship type of thing. It's not Striper's music put to worship lyrics, put it that way. It's more worship oriented music, but kind of rock.
It's kind of slow. And,
I'll definitely have to give it a listen before I decide what my final verdict on that is. And something else in the news, we've got some sad news. I don't have an exact date, and this might be a rumor mill, but I came across a Facebook post that said last week, and this was a couple weeks ago, so we're looking at third week in February, Tony Ortiz, who was the guitarist for Ransom, has died. I don't know any more details other than that. I haven't been able to confirm it. This may just be a rumor. This may be a misleading post I saw. I don't know. I got one other piece of news. We have a new subscriber to the podcast, Tanja Hall.
Woohoo!
So yes,
Well, welcome to the group.
yes. You know what? Share this. Let other people.
We don't have membership fees here. Nothing.
So yes, share this. Let your friends know you're listening. If you enjoy this, this is a good time to do our segment where we say, "Hey, listen. If you like what you're hearing, share with your friends. Get others involved. We want to kind of grow this. We went from 2 listeners to 3 listeners now.
Yes. Come on, people. Come on. We can expand our people. Come on.
And speaking
You can do it.
of that, actually, I've got, we do this all the time where we say, leave a response, leave a comment. Not many people do, and I get it. I don't leave a lot of comments on the podcast that I listen to. I understand that. You're out doing stuff when you listen to podcasts. You forget to respond when you do have time. I get it. But let us know you're listening. What I do want people to do, though, is to comment. I've got a question for people. And I started a Facebook poll, and I'm kind of keeping tabs on responses. For a future episode, I want to talk about the defining Christian metal album. So if you had a friend that doesn't know anything about Christian rock, Christian metal, and they say, what is that? And you say, here, listen to this type of thing. I don't have a CD handy. Well, yes, I do. I don't have Christian one handy. Anyways, if you said, I want the CD and said, here, listen to this. What is that defining Christian metal album that you would tell them to listen to?
Oh, the album?
Yes.
Or not the single?
No, not the single.
Okay.
And this is opening up a can of worms because we're talking about 40 years of history here type of thing. And there's lots of people who have opinions on it, which is good. I want different people's opinions on what that defining record is. And I'm not going to give away any hints right now because I want everybody to kind of weigh in on this. And I want all our listeners out there to try and comment what they think that defining Christian metal record is. Leave a review or comment in whatever format you're listening to this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, leave comments. If you're listening in one of the, Apple or Spotify or one of the other podcast places, leave comments or reviews there. We're also on Podchaser, which doesn't play the podcast, but does connect all the podcasts together. And we're on Podchaser. You can leave a comment there type of thing. So that's that. All I know is from responses, I did a Facebook poll about this. I'm going to try and reach out to a few of my other friends too. I just did this poll on Facebook and was counting up the responses type of thing like this. There is one album that is kind of leading the responses, but who knows? Maybe after I talk to everybody else who hasn't responded yet, maybe that'll change. So that's something to think about. And let's see where we. You got anything in the news or anything, Chris? Rock-wise?
No. I haven't heard anything.
Best?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's do this. Time to plug it in and turn it up. All right. For the Plug It In episode, or for the Plug It In, we talked about these guys in the news. We think that the guitarist Tony Ortis has died. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to confirm it. I've been trying to Google, seeing if there's any news about that. Haven't found anything about them. What we do know, Ransom was led by Lisa Faxon, Tony on guitars, Michael Ciado, and David Levy, and I'm not sure who did bass and who did drums. Maybe I'll figure that out. Anyways, they put out 2 albums. I remember I first heard them on that compilation VHS tape I had with a bunch of bands on there. And all right, we're gonna play.
What's the name of the
The
song?
song is "Lasting Love." Okay, there we go. "Lasting Love" by Ransom.
So I've put that video up on our website
Okay,
this week.
all right.
And it was because we did the love ballads last episode. And I think we mentioned him, the guitarist, but that I found it anyway because I thought the video itself, for people who don't know, I think it was probably the best Christian video done to show the world that, hey, we have artists who could sing.
Right.
And then I remembered that I almost got her. I thought I could get her on the show. I forget what her name is, Deborah, but I forget who I talked to.
No, it's Lisa. If you can get her though, yeah, go ahead. But
I would love to, if I could remember how I did that, that would be great, but I don't. So if they're out there and I talk to you about her, get back in touch with me, please.
that was Lisa Faxon who did the vocals for Ransom. You know, if you can get a hold of her, that would be great. I'm hearing rumors that she doesn't do a whole lot of interviews anymore. She doesn't want to talk about that time of her life anymore. So it'd be great.
But yeah, Ransom was awesome. I don't know if did they put out any other songs after
There
that?
was, well, 2 full-length records or 2 full-length CDs type of thing came out. Actually, it's funny because I was just thinking about them this week, and then I tuned into one of the online Christian radio stations, and there's about 3 or 4 that I listen to now and then. And I was driving my car, and as I tuned in, they were playing a song off the second record from Ransom.
Really? Huh. Well, she really had I really thought back then she really had the potential to go up on the.
Right.
I mean, she could sing, and the guitarist that sings with her. I mean, wow, he could really sing. But he was also a former producer, and he had that nice sound with Ransom.
Right. And I mean, you listen to that solo, man, he could really wail on the guitar.
Oh yeah.
On to some more great guitarists. And one of my favorite bands has made the list at 73. Now, we're going to do a little bit of skipping. Like I said, the first time we started the list from 100 to 75, there were a few bands, a few spots we skipped over. Instead of talking about every single guitarist on the top 100 guitar list, there's a few that are kind of out of our wheelhouse or our forte type of thing. So we'll just skip a few spots here and there. I actually thought I'll write them down and I'll skip a few, and maybe I can cut the list down into half or 3/4. I really didn't skip that many.
Okay.
So we're coming in at 73. We're skipping 74. 75 was Bjorn Stegenson from Leviticus. So 73, we have Steve Osborne, who was the second guitarist for Bride. He appeared on the Show No Mercy, Live to Die, and Skin for Skin records. Bride is normally Dale Thompson on vocals and Troy Thompson on guitar. But a couple of the early records did have a second guitarist, and that was Steve Osborne. So he comes in at 73.
Awesome.
So a little bit of Bride from the song Heroes, just to show off the great lead guitar work that Steve Osborne had done. I'm not sure who did which one there. Coming in at 69 is a guy we're not so familiar with. His name is Randy Thomas. Started out with the band Sweet Comfort Band, and then in the 80s moved on to Allies. Now, I've listened to a little bit of Sweet Comfort. They're the 70s Southern rock, almost like a light Leonard Skinner or an Allman Brothers without the great guitar work of Greg Goldman type of thing. They've got that tone that the Allman Brothers had, just not that great guitar work. But Allies was kind of good.
Is that the mainstream band that I was thinking of?
Allies?
That had their big single in the 90s? Or is this a Christian band called Allies?
Yeah, no, a different band than what you're thinking of. Not the mainstream. This is a Christian band called Allies. I've been checking out some of their stuff. I actually heard a song of theirs today called Devil is a Liar. And I first heard of them back when I was in junior high or high school. One of my friends was playing a song called Burden Down. And at the time, that's all I knew from Allies. I really don't know much about them now. But it's a really cool song, great rhythm, kind of cool lyrics and melody. Here's a little bit of Burden Down.
Turn around, hit the ground, time to lay a burden down. you're at it, man. Use those plaid double knit pants. Nice hair, man. What color do you call that?
All right, a little bit of allies for you there. Okay, next up, skipping 68, we're jumping to 67. One of the new guys on the scene, sort of, I guess. Noah Henson from Pillar. He's been with the band since 2001. So I guess he's not really new on the scene, 20 years, 25 years type of thing. It's funny, I think anything in the 90s is new.
Yeah, that's all right. That's okay.
You can tell I'm old when the 80s is current and the 90s is new and 2000 is really new.
25. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Anyways, Noah Henson from Pillar came in 67. Your thoughts on Pillar?
Well, I looking through this list this week, the one band to me that stuck out that I really liked, Barren Cross. This list was I totally felt I liked Barren Cross now.
Okay.
I didn't know any of their stuff before, but this list, I was like, what? How come I didn't hear these songs before?
Well, you're jumping ahead a little bit. He's
Sorry.
next on the list, actually. Speaking of Barren Cross, Ray Paris comes in at 66 from Barren Cross. Anyways, Ray Paris comes in at 66. He played guitar with Barren Cross. I didn't cue any up because we talk about Barren Cross quite a bit. We'll have more opportunity down the road to play some Barren Cross. Coming in at 65, we have PK Mitchell, who played guitar with Neon Cross. Neon Cross was a band, came out late 80s, really had that glam, power metal sound. I ended up buying the one record from the Christian bookstore type of thing.
Yeah, I think I did too.
I enjoyed it at the time. I'm not sure if it stands the test of time. It's, a lot of guitar playing typical for that time. Anyways, a little bit of Neon Cross. There you go. Neon
Wow.
Cross.
He could sing. He could really belt. Holy smokes.
Well, how about that guitar playing? We're talking about guitars, man. Like I said, speed, and metal playing, really plays well. Typical of the time. Neon Cross, Barren Cross. Seems like there are a lot of bands that are trying to throw cross into their name.
Crossing it. Yeah, wow.
From Whitecross to Barren Cross to Neon Cross. PK Mitchell a few years back came out with his own record. It is a heavy metal worship record. I've listened to some tracks off of it, and they're all the old hymns put to modern metal music type of thing like that.
Wow.
Actually, some really good stuff on there. So if you're looking for heavy metal worship, check out PK Mitchell. He was formerly of Neon Cross, but he's got his own project out now. I believe it's under his own name, PK Mitchell.
Try to find my pen. Not working very well.
All right, we move on to number 64. We have from band I think we know quite well, Holy Soldier and their guitarist, Jamie Kramer. Jamie Kramer was a founder of Holy Soldier. He was always a member of Holy Soldier. They did have a little trouble with vocalists, I know. Vocalists kept coming in and out of the band. The original vocalist who recorded on the first record was in and out. They had trouble. They ended up with a third guy for the third record. Really didn't hold the water compared to the first two guys they had on the first two records type of thing. But the guitar playing was great, especially on the first two records, and especially that first record. It was amazing. Probably one of my favorite Christian debut records of all time. I think for people from that time frame, probably one, pretty much everybody's favorite from who was around when that record came out, that debut from Holy Soldier.
That was when 1990?
I believe so, or 1991, something like that. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's funny. I keep thinking, all the music I loved was mid 80s, but mid 80s, I was just getting into music. It was more the late 80s, early 90s, like 91, 92, that all the music I really loved came out. And then the scene changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll talk about that on a future episode too. I want to get through this list of 100 guitarists, finish our history segments too. Anyways, a little bit of Holy Soldier for you off the first record. Man, I love that first Holy Soldier record.
That almost brought me back to remembering when a local band here in Edmonton, me and you both liked Silent Cry.
Okay.
When the opening of that song reminded me of a Silent Cry song.
Right. Actually, they did cover a Barren Cross tune, and I didn't realize it was originally a Barren Cross tune.
Oh.
Give Your Life to Jesus. Silent Cry used to play that one all the time. And when I started listening to the first Barren Cross record, and I got into Barren Cross late, long after they were done as a band. A lot of these bands I didn't hear about when they were out and around, type of thing like this. You get into them afterwards, and you find out how great they were and some of the great music you missed, type of thing like that. I'm like that with the band Saint. I'm just getting into them now and kind of going back, getting a good cross section of their music. Same with the band Narnia, who's been up for quite a while too, and gone through a few lineup changes. I think it's always been the same guitarist and same vocalist though. Coming in at 62, next guitarist. And it's kind of funny actually, because I slowly get into this band. Here's a band that's been around, I think, 30 years. I didn't like them when they first came out. I was going to skip this person because I thought she's not known as a guitarist. She's known more as a keyboardist. Then I realized I was wrong in that thinking. She's quite the guitarist, very good guitarist. And so coming in at 62, Corey Cooper from Skillet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I've been listening to a little bit of Skillet. I didn't like them when they first came out. Musically, I like them more now. I'd say, last 3 or 4 records. Really like the new one. I still have trouble with John Cooper's vocals. It's just not my style. I just have trouble getting into John's vocal styling and the way he sings. No, I'm not going to say he's horrible, he's bad, or, he's not good. He's good at what he does. It's just not really my taste type of thing,
They're good. They're really good in live. I've seen them live a couple times and met them and, do it security, but They are. Wow. Their songs are completely Bible, like from the Bible. Cooper has made some public statements about some stuff over the last couple
Well, John
months.
Cooper really
John,
is
yeah.
really outspoken. He's got his own podcast where he
Yeah.
speaks his mind and unashamedly speaks his mind. Put it that way. I think
Wow.
more so on his podcast than he does with Skillet's lyrics. That's the other thing is they've gotten some mainstream attention, and I think the message in the lyrics has been kind of watered down a bit. You know, like where Striper has stayed with the in-your-face God lyrics, and again, not every song is. Some songs are just about Christian
That's right.
values, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you look at Striper's lyrics, you know where they stand. You look at Skillet's lyrics, and you go, "There's nothing bad about their lyrics," but
you just wonder where they're
you
going.
don't know for sure by looking at their lyrics that they're a Christian band. I'm not saying they're not a Christian band, but it's not obvious from their lyrics, is what I'm trying to say.
That's right. Yeah. It's like they write it and they expect you to read it and read.
Yeah, and sometimes there's nothing wrong with that.
No. They want to minister to youth.
Yeah.
And so when you go to a youth conference, they almost, that's what they do, right? They write it knowing that they're going to a select group of people, and they don't necessarily come out with Jesus. I mean, some songs are, but rare, very rare. Live, they're really good with that.
Okay. I'll have to catch them live. They did come to Edmonton, I think, last year. They were playing at a little club, so, you know, their stage show would have been kind of watered down a bit. So I didn't go check them out. I was kind of short on cash, too. I think that was after another concert or something like that. So if they ever come back to Edmonton, I probably will try and check them out, type of thing. Anyways, jumping a few more spots now. We're jumping down to 57 on the guitar list. And we've got an artist we talked about as a new converted Christian, known in the mainstream circles. So he fell into our episode of Christians in non-Christian bands. And I'm talking about Brian Head Welch, formerly of the band Korn. I don't know if he's been with Korn since he became a Christian. He has released a Christian record out. I've heard a couple tracks off of that. I was never really a Korn fan. The couple tracks I heard off his Christian record, off the Brian Welch record, there were some Korn influences. It almost sounded like a Christian version of Marilyn Manson to me, though.
I remember back in the day, I heard maybe one or two tracks from Korn. I thought they were just a little bit too hard. And I thought they were more punk than anything.
Yeah. The only song I know of theirs is that, you know, Freak on a Leash, and especially when they really get into it and he's just going, and I'm going, I'm not really sure what this is, you know?
Yes. It's a very select listening group.
If I'm going to call anything garbage, I think I'm going to call that song garbage.
And I think that kind of music is more like I don't want to say the southern U.S., but it really is like a select group of music. It's really different. So anyway, he came to the Lord.
Yes.
I've heard that story. I've watched his story on YouTube.
Oh, okay. So what do you know about his story?
Just that he was the same story we've heard for years, right? He was on the road a lot with Korn and doing all that stuff and the drugs, and he got to that point where he just, is this what it's like to be famous and have the money and that kind of thing? And then one day he just asked God. I don't know if he met somebody who said, you know what, you got to change your life or whatever. I don't know that part. I've watched where he just said that he gave his heart to the Lord, and then things changed, and then the people within Korn, his management kind of stuff was like, well, no, you can't do that, right? We're big now. We're making millions of bucks, and he had to make a decision.
Right, okay.
Stay with it or go. and he obviously made the right decision for him, which was that he just couldn't. Maybe someday we'll have him on the show. That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
That'd be awesome.
So moving on, and I'm gonna have to do a little bit of explanation on this guy. Here's a guy we don't talk about much, don't know much about. Number 56, Neil Morse. I've heard a couple of his songs. His sound is kind of rock, kind of contemporary type of thing, I guess. He's been on the scene, on the music scene since the 90s. Had a band called Spock's Beard. And then in 2000, he was in a band called Transatlantic with Mike Portnoy, who was the drummer with Dream Theater. He stepped away from music for a bit, kind of searching for inner peace, and started to listen to God. Then he felt God's call to get back into music and record again. So he rejoins with Portnoy, records a double disc concept album spanning various styles and dealing with his testimony and a lot of themes on separation and then reunion with God. I don't know the name of the record. This is what I got from the list. I listened to a little bit of Neil Morse and going, okay, so now I know what he sounds like, but it was a big list mixing with everybody else type of thing like this. We don't talk about Neil Morse, although I'm sure I've heard the name come up in circles, which is why I left him on in our inclusion. He was a guy I could have easily skipped over and we wouldn't have known the difference. But I'm sure I've heard the name talked about a few times, so I thought people out there probably know the name Neil Morse. We'll mention him. He came in at 56, and I guess he became a Christian as well, wrote a double concept record about his testimony and spiritual themes. So that's Neil Morse. All right, 55, band we all love over here. The leader of the band, guitarist Jimmy P. Brown from Deliverance, and then also played with Vengeance. I was listening a little bit of, we know and love the first Deliverance record, know and love Weapons of War.
Stay up, Mexican.
And that one I'm less familiar with. I was listening to that one a little bit to, get familiar with. Here's a little interesting thing too. In recent years, a few years back, but after his time with Deliverance and Vengeance, Jimmy P. Brown has put out another project. He's with a thing called Jupiter 6. And you'll see it listed as Roman numerals. So Jupiter VI. And that is very different than Deliverance and Vengeance. It's more of a Pink Floyd-ish type of sound.
Please tell me you're not going to play something?
No.
Okay.
I've heard the stuff, again, through Spotify. I haven't had a chance to go out and acquire any yet. It's good. For those who are into Pink Floyd, I would recommend checking out Jupiter 6. But Jimmy P. Brown is known for Deliverance, for Vengeance, for the thrash scene. And we'll get into that later on the program. We're going to have to talk about Christian thrash one of these times. 53, last artist on our list, again with the same bands and a few other. 53, anyways, is Larry Farkas. Again, has done time in Deliverance, Vengeance, and also played with Sacred Warrior on the Master's Command record. Good stuff. Again, some very fast shredding playing, especially with Sacred Warrior. Great band type thing. Another band I kind of got into after the scene, more and more as I find out about what's going on, who people like, who people used to like. That's kind of the thing about the Christian scene, especially nowadays, is I find the internet a two-edged sword. We don't like streaming so much because it takes away money from the artists. It's a good way for discovering artists. There aren't a lot of ways to discover an artist. But now we've got the internet. Now we've got Facebook. There's lots. We don't have the bookstores anymore to run to and see who's out there, who's doing what. And the bookstores did lack in. They didn't always have entire libraries. They had what was current, but after the stuff had been out for a few years, it was kind of gone, and then it was hard to get a hold of, type of thing. I remember when I first picked up Bride Snakes in the Playground, bought that when it was new out of the bookstore. really liked their stuff. I actually had to order. Internet was around. We weren't doing social medias back then, but the internet, as far as websites going, was around. I had to go on Bride's website and order the early records. After hearing Snakes, I went and ordered just about everything they'd put out at the time. And I know a couple friends of mine there said, "Oh, you might be kind of surprised because they kind of changed the sound through the records," and they did. But I still liked it all, type of thing like this. I'm one of these guys, anything that rocks, I like.
And I didn't. I don't know. I mean, hanging out with you, but during that time, that stuff didn't really Bride. It didn't really stick with me later. Like I like Guardian, the Bottle Rocket CD. I bought the CD. I liked that album for years. And then now that I'm older, I'm finding these bands that you like, and I'm like, wait a minute, why didn't I like them
Right.
back then? I like them now.
Well,
It was just, I guess, depending on where you are in life, you like one particular sound, right?
yeah, it's interesting how our taste evolve over the years. Some bands that you used to like back in the day, especially on the secular scene, you look back on it 40 years later, you're going, "Oh man, those lyrics kind of cringeworthy," or "What did I like about those
That's
guys?"
right. Why did I like that? Yeah. 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 And then nowadays you see kids on the bus and they play their stuff, and you're like, what the heck is that?
But
Kind of like the guy who at the Super Bowl, right? You heard about that, Arin? I won't mention his name because I don't remember it, but he was booked to come on the halftime show. What he did, Arin, it was a fast rap.
okay,
That's a thing.
okay,
All he did was fast rap for his 15 minutes of show, and everybody hated
right.
it. So next year, maybe we could get a Christian artist in there.
That'd be nice. Well, actually, there was comments after Super Bowl about I think Mike Sweet was hoping that maybe they can get on, the Striper could get on halftime shows one year or whatever. That would be something to see.
Oh, okay. Well, people are thinking they want Carrie Underwood to sing because then everybody can understand her. I had to laugh at that comment.
Anyways, so that's it for our guitar list for this episode. Anyways, we only got to 53 today.
Right. Okay.
We're breaking this up into segments. We'll probably get about 4 or 5 episodes out of this whole list. I think it makes a great series, actually. And like I said, we've got that other series going on about the history. We're gonna have to get back into that. We've got some other great stuff coming up. But yeah, we were talking about finding out about these bands. That's the nice thing is now we've got Facebook that you can jump on in some of these Facebook groups and go, well, who's listening to what? What do people like? Or I like these bands. What other bands on the Christian scene should I listen to? Back in the day, all we really had was the bookstore to check out, and they did have some good selection. Like you could get a hold of the Holy Soldier, you could get a hold of the new Whitecross, but you had to go out there and find it yourself. Even now, you still have to go out there and kind of find it, type of thing. But it's a large community of people to find out from. And so I don't think I knew about Barren Cross back in the day. I knew about Bloodgood. I remember I bought their Greatest Hits CD, so I found out about Bloodgood afterwards, and I'm getting into them more now than I did back then.
I still remember going to the bookstore, and like you, if there was at the booth there with the CD players and stuff, and I would put on a headset. No, I mean, the first 10 seconds, if I liked it, I'd whatever, move on. Or you would walk over to the bulletin board that they had in the corner, and they would put the top 20 CDs that were sold in Canada. And I'd be like, oh, really? Oh, there's these. So I'd go find the band somewhere, find the CD. Those were the days. But you're right. That's right. Now it's easier. You could just, and I'll do that. Go on Spotify for an hour and just go through, type something like greatest, whatever. Spend an hour trying to pick good songs, bad songs.
Right, yeah, we got Spotify, we got Facebook recommendations.
Yeah, we got Apple Music. Yeah.
So I know, yeah, the internet. I mean, the internet's here to stay. Obviously, it's good and bad. You know, the streaming services, I think, has its place. But if you like a band, if you like an album that a band has done, do go out and buy it. I try to encourage people to buy the stuff whenever can. Some
Yeah,
of the stuff is hard to get a hold of.
it's hard to get.
Actually, speaking of which, and this should have been in the news segment. We talked about this earlier last episode. Bride's got a new double length CD coming out called Snakes and Shadows, I believe it's called. No, Vipers and Shadows is what it's called. Oh, Dale and Troy both did posts on various sites there talking about it. So far, it's only available to buy from the band. It hasn't come out yet. They are taking pre-orders, and right now, the only place you can purchase it will be through the band's website at bridepub.com. So, bridepub, one word.com. It'll be where you can buy the new one. They are taking pre-orders for their new double-length CD. And I'm not sure if it's going to be available in streaming, but it won't be available at wherever else you would buy music from, type of thing.
Yeah.
That's one thing I don't like about today's market is the bookstores aren't around. You can't run to the bookstore and buy it and get it in your hands really quickly. Usually, you got to send wait for it to come in the mail and all that. Anyways,
Yeah.
so that's our list. We're on your birthdays. We've got a few birthdays here. We're trying to get ahead here, and well, we'll be ahead and behind. But anyways, March 11th, we actually have a few anniversary death days. March 11th was the death of Ezekiel Fade, also known as Sammy or Jeremy Nunes. He played bass with the band Strikin', with Cry, and with Paul Q. Peck's band. No, Paul Q. Peck was the main frontman for One Bad Pig.
Ooh, that's a band I haven't heard in a while.
We'll probably get to them one of these days too. I actually enjoy those guys when they were around. They're kind of back together doing stuff. I think Paul was doing stuff just on his own and carrying on a lot of the One Bad Pig music. Anyway, and I think they've gone through a couple of different lineups and stuff. Ezekiel Vade, who played with these guys, with Strike and Paul and The Cry, died March 11th last year, 2024. And last year, I remember that when this hit the news, Michael Knott died on March 12th, 2024. Michael Knott, he's known in the music scene. I never really listened to his stuff. I'm not sure if you listened to his stuff or whatever. I know Christian Geeks made a big announcement about it when he passed away. He's definitely only in the music scene. So we'll remember his death here, March 12th. Now, on to some happier news. We got some birthdays to talk about. March 16th, Anders Kolafers, who is the drummer for Narnia since 2023, recently joined with the band Narnia, only a couple years in. I guess it means he's played on the last record, and that's about it so far.
Wow, all right.
Happy birthday to Anders Kolafers.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Well, Narnia is one of these bands that have been around like 30 years, so he gets to jump in and be part of them. Great. Then we have March 16th, again from Narnia, Nicholas Edberger, who played keyboards with them. He's still with the band. He was with Narnia in 2003, only for that year, and then came back in 2011 and is still with the band. So that's about 10 years with the band now, or actually over 10 years, probably 15 years now. I'm not very good at math. This is why I do the podcast. I'm not good at math.
That's all right. Neither am I. We have to find someone who's good with math.
All right, March 18th. Big name birthday. John Elefante was born 1958.
That rings a bell.
Well, I mean, big time producer and musician. He did the Mastodon records. Remember?
Yeah. And did he help out with Petra's?
Yeah, some of the stuff in the late 80s, I believe he was with.
Yeah.
And then March 21st, we have birthday. Born 1960, the visual timekeeper, keeping the beat behind Striper, Robert Sweet.
Are they brothers? They're brothers,
Yep,
right?
Yep, Michael and Robert are brothers.
Okay.
For those who don't know, maybe you're just joining the podcast. We talk about Striper all the time. And yes, Michael Sweet is the vocalist for Striper, vocalist and guitarist. Don't forget that he plays guitar as well.
Yeah, don't forget the guitar.
Does a lot of the writing as well, music and melody and writing words, lyric-wise. And Robert Sweet is his brother who is in drums. Actually, Michael just did a post this past week talking about when they first formed Striper. And he talking about when he first got a microphone. He started singing, and his dad kept pushing. Robert was in a band before Michael was. And I guess they were looking for a singer. And they kept his parents kept pushing Robert to let Michael audition for the band. And Michael even said that his dad went out and bought a microphone and a PA system for him. I think it was a Shure microphone or something like this. I can't remember now what he said. But I remember when he went and auditioned for Robert's band, and some of the songs that they sang, I have to find that post again. I can't remember what he said. He said they probably jammed on some Led Zeppelin. He said, I'm pretty sure they played Rock and Roll, which is the go-to song for Led Zeppelin fans. You know, it's just we're kind of reminiscing about when he first started playing with Robert. It was kind of cool little post he did. And March 25th, we got an album anniversary. One of Striper's greatest hits records, 7. March 25th, 7. Best of Striper comes out. This was the greatest hits. I think I had a couple new songs. I actually haven't heard this because I wasn't in buying greatest hits, just because I've got most of their stuff. I've got all this stuff already.
Yeah.
But I did find out recently that there were actually a couple new songs on this. It's one of those cases of putting out a greatest hits record, but you got to put out a brand new song so that the old fans buy it as well.
Yeah, release 1 or 2 new songs.
So I might have to run out over to iTunes and buy the new stuff from Best of Striper 7. And we'll have to talk about those songs too as we do our Striper series. So that's it for our guitarists for this week. That's it for birthdays this week. You got anything else to add?
I have nothing to say. Make sure you subscribe, say hi to us, answer Aaron's poll.
Yes. If you've forgotten what it was, we're looking for your opinion on the definitive Christian metal album. Now that we're at the end of the episode, you probably forgot about it. You know, you didn't hit pause when we first asked, and you just listened to the whole episode and you forgot all about it. We're reminding you. So leave a review with what you think the definitive Christian record is of all time. If you're on YouTube, it's easy to leave comments or whatever.
Or what Christian CD would you introduce your unsaved friends to?
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool to hear what your guys' your ideas would be.
All right, and I think that's a wrap.
I think we are rock and roll.
Rock and roll. God bless everyone, and let's
God bless.
end it this way.